So here's a story that slipped right past almost everyone. A Japanese company just quietly put about $17 million into XRP. And normally, you just shrug at that, right? Companies buy crypto all the time now. But stay with me, because this one isn't a bank, and it isn't a hedge fund. It's a video game studio. The same studio behind Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, a mobile game with tens of millions of downloads. And here's the part that got me leaning in. This wasn't some impulsive bet at the top of a hype cycle. These folks have been crypto insiders since 2018. So let's walk through the whole thing. Who Gumi really is, how a games company ended up holding XRP, and why one of Japan's biggest financial giants, a company called SBI, is standing right behind them. By the end, I promise, it clicks. So who is Gumi really? Let's rewind, because the origin story matters more than you think. Gumi was founded back in 2007 in Tokyo by an entrepreneur named Hironao Kunimitsu. And the timing is almost poetic. 2007 is the exact year the first iPhone landed. Kunimitsu's bet was that smartphones were about to crack open Japan's old, lockdown mobile market, and that Japanese games could finally travel the world. And honestly, that bet landed. Their first breakout, Brave Frontier, arrived around 2013 and pulled in tens of millions of downloads globally. Then came the big one, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which they built hand in hand with Square Enix. That game alone saw something like 48 million downloads before it wrapped up in late 2024. And by 2014, Gumi was big enough to go public on the Tokyo Stock Exchange under the ticker 3903. Now, quick myth buster, because people get this wrong. Kunimitsu is the founder, but he's not the CEO today. He stepped back in 2021, and the company's now led by its president, Hiroyuki Kawamoto. And here's the one detail to hold on to, because it quietly explains everything later. Gumi isn't some scrappy indie shop. Its biggest shareholder is SBI Holdings, one of the largest financial groups in Japan, and SBI owns roughly a third of the company. So picture that, a Final Fantasy studio, one-third owned by a financial giant. That's the stage. Now let's see what they did with it. So how does a game studio end up buying XRP in the first place? Here's the twist almost nobody tells you. Gumi did not stumble into crypto in 2025. Rewind to 2018, right in the freezing depths of the crypto winter, and Gumi had already launched a venture fund called Gumi Crypto's Capital out in San Francisco. Their first fund was around $21 million, and they were writing checks into crypto startups while everyone else was sprinting for the exits. A few years later, they raised a second fund, this one $110 million. And one of the partners running it, Miko Matsumura, is a genuine slice of tech history. He was Sun Microsystem's chief evangelist for Java back in the 90s. So who did they back? Early bets on names you'd absolutely recognize, like OpenSea and Yield Guild games. And to be totally straight with you, they also backed Celsius, which famously imploded. That's the honest reality of venture investing. You collect the winners and you collect the lessons. But the takeaway is undeniable. These people were swimming in crypto years before any XRP headline, and it doesn't stop at investing. Gumi itself quietly became a node and validator operator across a whole stack of blockchains, Avalanche, Ethereum, Sui, and Injective, where they were the first Japanese company in the active validator set. They even launched their own token and listed it on SBI's own exchange. So when you hear game company buys XRP, this is a company already living and breathing crypto infrastructure. Which brings the real question. What did they buy and how? So what does this treasury actually look like up close? Here's where it gets clever. It's what they call a dual asset strategy. And the cleanest way to picture it is two assets doing two completely different jobs. First, Bitcoin. In early 2025, Gumi bought about 1 billion yen of it, call it $6.5 million, somewhere around 80 Bitcoin. But here's the smart move. They didn't just park it in a wallet and forget it. They stake a chunk of it through a protocol called Babylon. And for anyone newer to this, Staking basically means you lock up your crypto to help keep a network secure, and in return, you earn a steady reward. Think of it like earning interest on cash that would otherwise just sit there. Gumi was the first listed Japanese company to do exactly this with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin becomes their income engine. Then comes the second asset, XRP. In late August of 2025, the board approved about 2.5 billion yen, roughly $17 million, to buy XRP, reportedly aiming for around 6 million tokens. And one small detail that says a lot. The money came partly through SBI's own securities arm. SBI again, right? And they didn't buy it all at once. They spread it over about 6 months. That's just dollar cost averaging, buying in steady pieces so you're not betting everything on one day's price. XRP is the utility side, cross-border payments and liquidity. So picture the whole design. Bitcoin earns, XRP moves. That's far more thoughtful than the usual pile up one coin and pray playbook. But here's what makes it truly powerful. Gumi isn't doing any of this alone. So who's standing behind them? Because this is where the story stops being about one company and becomes about a whole machine. Remember SBI owns about a third of Gumi? Well, here's the thing about SBI. Its chairman, Yoshitaka Kitao, co-founded a venture called SBI Ripple Asia all the way back in 2016. And SBI is also one of the biggest outside shareholders in Ripple itself, holding somewhere around 9%. So really sit with that. SBI is standing on both ends of this. It owns a big slice of Gumi and a big slice of the XRP world. And then there's Evernorth. In October of 2025, Gumi put $5 million into Evernorth, a giant institutional XRP treasury vehicle in the making. And Gumi's $5 million is deliberately small, because sitting right beside them in that same deal is SBI, with around 200 million, plus Ripple itself, plus heavy hitters like Pantera and Kraken. Stack it up, and it's a war chest north of $1 billion. And Evernorth already holds something like 470 million XRP. It's run by a former Ripple executive, Ashish Birla, and the plan is to take it public on the Nasdaq, under the ticker XRPN, through a SPAC merger. Now I'll be straight with you. That listing hasn't closed yet. It's still in motion. But you can feel the flywheel turning. Capital pours in, XRP gets locked up and put to work. SBI's payment rails give it real-world use. And a Tokyo-listed game studio brings a consumer crowd the pure finance players can't reach. So what does Gumi do with all this now? And where's it headed? So where does all this stand today, in the summer of 2026? Because Gumi just laid its cards on the table. Here's the honest backdrop. Their mobile game business has been cooling for a while. That's just a maturing market. And in their latest results, it was actually their crypto holdings doing the heavy lifting, delivering valuation gains of around 2.5 billion yen and swinging the company back into profit. So crypto isn't a side project anymore. It's becoming the growth engine. And just days ago, in late June, they announced the next chapter. A plan to become, in their own words, Japan's largest XRP treasury company. Now, I want to be fair here. That's a stated goal, not a finished fact. But the direction is unmistakable. They're spinning up a new arm called Neo Crypto, and they plan to consolidate roughly 14 billion yen, about $86 million, of group crypto into XRP. And they won't just sit on it. They plan to actively manage it using covered call options. In plain terms, that's a way to earn extra income from an asset you already hold. Though, to be transparent, it's a tool with trade-offs, not a free lunch. And here's the freshest piece of all. Finally answering the AI question everyone asks. At the very end of June, Gumi announced it's now using AI, actual AI agents, to help manage that treasury around the clock. And they even plan to sell that system to other companies. Meanwhile, the games keep coming. New titles, even a K-pop collaboration. So this is a company reinventing itself, live, right in front of us. So let's bring it home. What makes Gumi genuinely worth watching isn't a price prediction. I'm really not here to give you one of those. It's that this is a rare, valuable thing. A fully public, Tokyo-listed company building a real corporate XRP treasury completely out in the open. And that hands you a useful takeaway. Because Gumi is publicly traded, And because they're buying in disclosed phases, you can actually audit this whole thing as it unfolds. Their investor relations page, their filings, even Evernorth's filings over in the US. It's all right there to read. So if you've ever wanted to watch serious corporate crypto adoption happen in real time, this is one of the clearest live case studies anywhere. And if you want the bigger picture on Japan and XRP, go check out our XRP Japan 101. It's the perfect companion to this story. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel more than you think. And drop a comment. Tell me which company you want me to break down next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.